Good morning, happy Friday. It's Tim Wild with the Friday Ascension update. Tim in the woods. Sun is behind me. It is a beautiful morning, the birds are singing, and we've got some quite interesting stuff going on with our energies at the moment, and generally within our spheres of reality, the entire world that we're living in. Everything's changing. It's been changing for over a year now. But most interestingly, I'm going to begin by expanding on a point that I made on Monday. And we have got, although it might not feel like it, we've got a completely new platform of energy to be working with, meaning that based on the current cycles or the way that the energy kind of flows in and we integrate it, the last time we had a huge step up into a completely different vibration was around April in 2019, or it would have been the spring equinox, that stepping into a very much higher platform. Now it's happened again recently. I mean, you and I and everybody else listening to this video this morning will have probably overcome the worst, not the worst, the most challenging aspects of the integration. Now, when all of this light comes in at a very high level, there's, first of all, unless a lot of us are tuned into we don't get any warning, we don't get any heads up, all of a sudden, bang, it's here. It's almost like we're expected to expect it, or we're expected to deal with it. And although most of us have been training, either consciously or subconsciously, to deal with and integrate this light, it's still a physical shock. It kind of almost shocks our bodies. So we have to take immediate action, where we change the things that we drink, or the things that we eat, or the way that we think, or the way that we're interacting with the world. And so we're coming, me personally, and I know there's lots of other people who've experienced this, are coming out on the other side of it now. We're starting to feel okay again. Grounding was the biggest one, just making sure that we, as these human vessels, these lightning rods, these expanding, powerful master beings who are just beginning to wake up and realise that that is what we actually are, actually physically being able to bring this light in and utilise it without having to rest and recuperate and catch up with ourselves. So we're kind of slightly on the other side of that now. But the other point that I wanted to make was, because this was such a big step up in energy, what we were used to previously we've become more distant from it on a frequency level. Now, this isn't divisive information, this isn't them and us, this is simply how energy works. The much higher frequency energies they're of a different space and a construction to the lower frequency vibrations. So once, where upon a time we were mixing and merging, and we could kind of cooperate or simply move about comfortably within these sets of frequencies, it's now becoming increasingly uncomfortable to do so. And the way it was shown to me was that very dense energy, that very toxic energy, the world of control and fear and all of the other things that you see kind of flooding out of the media, the newspapers, the TV channels, Facebook, if you've picked the wrong people to connect with on there. All of this is now what was described to me as quite toxic, you know, or the words that Archangel Metatron and Archangel Jophiel used was corrosive. So it's almost like immersing yourself in, the way to describe it would be going for a swim in a swimming pool that's got it's been very heavily chlorinated. You could get around, you could swim around in it for a while, you could have your swim, but very quickly you'd notice that your eyes were stinging, that your breathing was becoming difficult, that your body was reacting to it, because chlorine is bleach, it's toxic, it's it's poisonous for the body. So the energy was shown to me that it's having that kind of effect on us, meaning that if we spend more than the kind of the recommended period of time interacting with that energy, then it affects us. So this is where I was saying, be very kind of clinical about how you interact with that energy and the steps that you take to keep yourself high, clear, pure, and vibrating at the frequency that you've actually chosen to vibrate at on a soul level. So this is set to increase. As I said previously, it's over the next every single day that we wake up on this planet, our frequency has risen. We do cleansing, we integrate what we bring in during the day, during the night. Now, not only does that occur, but we're out on kind of our night soul missions. We're working on the inner planes. We're maybe learning at Sirius. We're kind of, anything that we're doing at the moment will be involved with the betterment and the forward moving progress of this planet and the ascension process. But so where we are now is a very unique, it's a very special place, because we can see and interact with this alternative. It is an alternative reality now. We choose very consciously on a daily basis what we're going to be, what we're going to think, how we're going to act, and how our vibration is going to be by the choices that we make. So do you choose fear or do you choose love on a daily basis? Some of us have to be interacting with the fear because it's our job to alchemize it. It's our job to almost reach in and pull. Sometimes it could be a person. When we're working on this ascension process, it's part of our job at the moment is to, we're on the kind of the level where we're waking people up, is to assist people. If somebody has woken up and they're disorientated, they're looking for guidance. That's what I mean by reaching in. You are the light. At the end of the day, you are the first thing that they're going to identify with, that gives them the guidance that they need to step out of that frequency, shed all of their shackles and the mind control and the things that have kept them in 3D for so long, and move into this higher frequency. So it's like an extraction process, and we're extracting everything that's good that we loved about 3D. It's not like we're completely leaving it behind forever. What worked in 3D, what was of a high frequency, will be coming with us, and we'll just be kind of building on it at a much higher level when we've actually finally completed what we're aiming to do on this planet. So there is so much going on. Tomorrow in London, or it's the 24th of April tomorrow, there is the March for Freedom. Now this has expanded from what it was last year, where people are protesting about the loss of their rights, particularly I know it's happening globally. It's part of this kind of very 3D agenda, which is, thankfully, it's waking everybody up, but on the surface it looks very kind of oppressive and scary. Tomorrow millions will descend upon London, literally millions, and the last one was a beautiful event with high frequency energy, loving interactions, people speaking their truth from a heart-centered consciousness. And tomorrow we're going to be doing it again, and I believe that there will be other places around the world that will also be matching this. So if you are in tune with any of this, or if you're going to any of these protests, then make sure that you're approaching it from the heart center. Okay, let your heart lead before you. And it also brings me quite seamlessly into the subject that I want to talk about next, which is how powerful we are. Okay, now I know you hear me saying it quite a lot: owning your mastery, stepping into your truth, your power, your sovereignty, your integrity. Mastery is it can be a very kind of overused word, or it can be a word that actually really describes where we are and who we are on the ascension process at the moment. And the most amazing part about it is how many of us are now on that path to mastery. Now, it's very easy to kind of feel exhausted, depleted, drained, have that kind of cycle of consciousness going through, like, are we going to do this? Are we actually going to achieve what we set out to achieve? Are we going to 5D, or is it all some kind of great distraction or illusion? And yes, we are. The contract has been signed. We are moving into that vibration. But in the meantime, we are going to be against the most incredibly dedicated opposition for this to happen. So for every step forwards, we meet this resistance, and then we break the resistance down. We alchemize it with love, and then we move another step forward. So as the light grows, the shadow grows, because it's becoming more visible, until the tipping point, which I believe it's already been reached, just becomes so absolute that we are able to comfortably create our fifth dimensional reality, having dissolved all of our own personal illusions, shadows, 3D cords and attachments, all of the things that we've generated or we've been plugged into for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And it reminds me, I was reminded this morning to read a passage from the book, The Seven Archangels, Beloved Archangels Speak. Now, for those of you that joined David Estery and I on our event last Saturday, I read this out during the event because I think the words that I'm about to read to you via Archangel Jophiel are so important, and they reminded me at the time of exactly what they were exactly what I needed to hear. We doubt ourselves on this pathway from time to time. We're human. We wonder if all of the hard work and all of the effort that we put in is actually going to pay off. You will have thought it, I've thought it, but I'm just me. That thought, I'm just me, I'm just one person. How can I possibly make a difference? And I just want to read you an excerpt from the book, this is channeled on the spring equinox in 1954 by Archangel Jophiel. And for those of you that haven't heard of this book or might want to connect with it, it's one called The Beloved Archangels Speak, and it was written or channeled via Thomas Prince in 1954. And there it is again. Just for those of you that you probably won't be able to get a genuine hardback copy like this, but it is available online in PDF form, and you can get the newer versions on Amazon. But these words are channeled by Archangel Jophiel. Now remember, this was in 1954. The world was a very, very different place back then. But this is how he said, and this is talking about personal mastery, us, who we are, how powerful we are. And he says, it has been said, one with God is a majority, and that is the eternal truth. One man's vision brought the Santa Maria across the Atlantic. One man's vision established a free America. One man's light transfigured a body and ascended it in the presence of 500 people. One intelligence, God directed, has more than once saved this planet from dissolution. In hundreds of years, there was sometimes only one life stream, i.e. a person, soul, incarnate, who held the connection between the human and the divine. Just preceding the coming of Sanat Kumara, 4 life streams were all that remained whom the karmic law saw reason to believe could be sustained. 4 individuals out of 10 billion, and yet it was enough. So while one man or one woman desires the sustenance of a planet, while 2 strong feet are planted upon this earth, with a heart anchored into God's heart, the planet must survive, because one in the authority of the I Am is the presence of Almighty God at whatever point or place that focused flame abides. So that is it. That words from Archangel Jophiel describing the power of an awakened heart, describing the spiritual authority of a soul, a human vessel, standing in the light of God. So that's it. So he is referring to the power of the individual. And back in the days when he is speaking about here, when this was written, there were very few of us standing in that quality of light, in that presence of that power, completely tuned into our heart centers, connected to our mighty I am presences. Now let's forward fast it a little bit, okay? It's now 2021 and there are billions of us now standing in that light. Okay, so there was 7.8 billion people, more like 8 billion people on this planet at the moment, and so many have woken up. And if anything, so in that case, why are we worried in any way, shape or form about how this is all going to pan out? Whether we're going to actually achieve ascension into 5D, or whether we're going to become victims of this oppressive kind of rollout. Those words say it all. It's not just one or two or three or four of us standing in that light. There are billions of souls who are now stepping into their consciousness and their power. 2 billion woke up last year. Now they might not necessarily be functionally awake, and by functionally awake I mean, right, okay, I'm here, I'm spiritual, I'm on the spiritual pathway, I'm ready to work. They might still be kind of evolving through the early stages of the dark night, the kind of the shock of waking up suddenly. But then there was all the rest of us beforehand. I think it is very, very easy to completely underestimate how powerful we truly are. And I think, you know, it's almost like I could be talking to myself a little bit sometimes, because you forget, you underestimate just how absolutely awesome and luminous and bright and shiny and completely heart-centered we are as a light community around this planet at the moment. So if you're feeling those nags of doubt, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling depleted, if you're feeling like you've been kind of tossed around in the whirlwind, or maybe you've had your head in the storm lair and you've had your aura whipped around a little bit, or you're feeling unbalanced, or you're feeling ungrounded, just stop and give yourself a little bit of time to regenerate, recalibrate those energies, shine as brightly as possible, and step back into it again. Get the job done, okay? And so there, I'm going to leave it with that on this beautiful Friday morning. It's just that is the reminder that we all need, or anybody would need, to acknowledge our own power and the contribution that we have to this ascension process. You know, there could be a fraction of us awake and heart-centered and tuned into our I am presences at the moment, and we'd still do it. But every minute that passes, more and more people wake up. So we're just getting warmed up, we're just getting started at the moment. So whatever we're presented with, whatever comes through the gates, whatever might rattle our cages or make us feel like it's all a bit hopeless sometimes, just brush it off, move on. Remember who you are, okay? Call that mighty I am presence, that highest version of you, into play, into your bodies and your fields on a daily basis. Get used to the practice, make it habitual. I am my highest self. I am my highest self. I am my highest self. Now that is a powerful mantra. If you use that on a daily basis, you have identified and bought in and anchored your highest self. Okay, they're not separate beings anymore. I don't see us as these kind of limited little, kind of almost like toddlers, kind of staggering around on the planet, kind of completely unguided and needing to be kind of like assisted before we kind of like fall face first in a pond or something like that. We are masters who are remembering who we are. So, hand on heart, sending you all loads of love. Hope you have a beautiful end to the week, and I hope you have a lovely weekend too. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.